welcome to the Website Investing Show. Today, as you can see, I'm joined by two new faces. We've got Dave Cheeseman and we've got Jordan. So Dave is head of sales and marketing at Niche Website Builders, and Jordan is a business development manager at Niche Website Builders as well. So, hello. How are you doing, both?
Good, thank you. Slight stress because we've had some technical difficulties backstage. But apart from that, we're all good.
How are you, Jordan?
Yeah, all good. Busy, and then like Dave says, the stress of trying to make sure we're going live at the right time. But we're here, so it's working.
We're here. That's right. We're definitely here. It's the first live stream for both of you, so it's quite exciting because we have a really exciting subject to talk about today. We're talking website investing compared to alternative investments. Obviously, Dave and Jordan are both very experienced in the website investing space. After we have had this discussion, I'm going to tear down two expired domains so that we can end that nicely. So at the moment, we haven't got anyone yet. But if you're watching later, I'm just going to do some housekeeping. And if you are new around here, please like and subscribe. This helps us show our faces more and provide more useful information for free. So definitely like and subscribe so we can grow our channel. And yeah, this is pretty much it. When people join, I'm going to give them a shout out. Dave, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. First off, I want the power next week to be able to click and get things up on the screen because I want to know how to do that. Apart from that, so just to kind of a quick caveat up front, we're going to talk about investments and website investing and alternative investments. And I'm sure, as everyone knows, we are not kind of investment specialists. We're not here to give investment advice. It's purely exploring the world of websites and what we see as potential kind of returns from that space, and what we can also see from alternative investments as well. So I'm hoping, from a technical point of view, that in a second you'll be able to see my slides. Possibly not. I can see them on the left-hand side of my screen, but I'm not sure that they're coming up live.
Do you want me to do that, Dave? And
yeah, is that okay?
Okay, that's fine. Right. Okay. So.
Awesome. Okay. So, over the last week, kind of I've been looking at kind of what alternative investments means. So, traditional investments is cash, stocks, and bonds. Alternative investments is a whole range of categories, ranging from hedge funds, real estate, wines, whiskey, vintage cars, mint condition toys. The whole world of collectibles is counted as alternative investments. Also, cryptocurrency is obviously a major alternative investment. None of the lists that I found online from Forbes or any other source listed kind of websites or online assets as an alternative investment area, which I found to be quite interesting because, you know, obviously we live and breathe the world, and we see it as a kind of major way of getting into digital assets. But yeah, no one else online is listing it as an alternative investment option, which surprised me. I don't know whether it surprised you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not a new space anymore, but you know, the more it's kind of ignored, the more benefit for those of us that are in it. If the traditional investors are ignoring it at the minute.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, that is true. So on the next few slides, I've started to kind of look at the different kind of traditional alternative investments. So I think the first one that I covered is crypto, Eleanor.
Crypto. Oh boy.
Crypto. So I've felt some personal pain on this one over the last couple of years, and I think you have too, Eleanor. Yeah, it's been up and down dramatically, and obviously since the FTX market recently, it's dropped off a cliff. I can't see it returning anytime soon, and even when it was growing, I never truly felt like it was an asset that you could claim had value, apart from the promise of someone else buying it for more in the future. I always felt like it was more of a kind of gamble than an asset. Yeah,
It's very unpredictable. That's the thing with crypto, I think.
it is. Yes, and I'm certainly hoping and praying that it comes back. But at the moment, I can't see that happening in the near future. Um, the second one, and I have to again say up front, I know absolutely nothing about cars, but classic cars was a big alternative investment space. Um, Looking at stats around classic cars, um, and it's very similar to wine, which I'll come on to in a minute. It's really up and down about what's gaining in value, what's dropping in value. Apparently, at the moment, kind of traditional classic cars are going down in value. So, are from Autocar, which is kind of a major UK car magazine. 5 traditional cars are going down on average out of 13. Jaguars dropped dramatically. Aston Martin's dropped dramatically. 90s cars are on the way up. And so, unless you're kind of up for constantly keeping on top of what's going up and down and buying and selling continuously, it's a risky asset. And you don't get any passive income from it at all. It just sits there and you either drive it or look at it and yeah, hope it goes up in the future. Which I thought was interesting because I thought that it was kind of quite a safe investment and it will always go up in the future, but that's not the case.
Interesting.
So another one that I looked at was wine, and again, I thought that as a wine investor, you could buy a bottle, be pretty sure that it would, as long as you bought decent wine, go up in value. But this is a graph of different wine prices over the last 10 years, and depending on which wine you buy, it goes up and down. Obviously, over the last few years, if you bought a Burgundy bottle, you're all good. If you've bought an Italian wine, it's pretty flat. If you've bought champagne, it's taken a dip. I had no idea that there was that much intricacy in kind of wine investing. And again, very similar to cars, it does seem that you have to know what you're buying and get involved in the right space. This one is a more traditional one. So this is the US house price market, and the UK shows exactly the same picture. So as an asset, growing in value dramatically from the 90s and previously through to now. And so from an asset perspective, you can buy it, it will grow in value. You can be pretty sure, even if you take some dips. So certainly in the UK at the moment, it's taken some dips during the cost of living crisis. And I'm sure that we are seeing the news stories at the moment around kind of house prices dipping, but on the whole, it trends upwards. However, I think on the next slide, I've looked at kind of the income that you get from buy to let on a yearly basis. And that's when I was kind of not surprised because I see it myself. But if you invest £220,000 into a property, that's an average house price in the UK. On average, you'll get about £1,000 a month in rent in the UK. It totals 13,200 a year. It costs a lot to own a house and maintain it. And you've got 3,000 a year of interest, 1.2k a year of tax, and then on average, if you look at the bills, you're looking at about 3k a year maintenance, and that those sort of costs felt about right to me. I don't know whether or not you feel the same, Jordan.
Yeah, definitely. It obviously the kind of difficulty in that as well is that's just based on like an average, but you might have your tenant, something goes really wrong with the house and then you're out of pocket for even more than that. So as an average, definitely it does leave you with not the greatest amount of profit.
No, I mean, if you look at that investment, obviously you've got the asset in the background to sell, and no one's arguing that it's a risky investment because that asset will, as we saw in the previous graph, kind of continue to grow. But it's going to take you, and I can't do the maths that quickly, about 36 years to get the money back of the original investment if you purely go off the kind of rental income minus the costs, which is a long time to wait for that investment to kind of return on itself.
Great.
On the flip side, and that was a pun in regards to Flipper, I've looked at kind of some numbers around website investing, and these numbers show how many new buyers were signing up to Flipper in 2022. And so Flipper during 2022 had 178,000 new buyers sign up onto their database. So that's people actively looking to buy websites. And obviously, that's not just content sites. That could be e-commerce, SaaS, retail. But that number was a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be. And if that's every single year, that's a huge marketplace to kind of resell your website into. This very complicated graph is one released by Flipper, and this shows the multiples of websites. So kind of ranging from back from 2019 up to 2022. Top left-hand side shows content sites, and the yearly multiples of profit that they're being sold as. So you can see consistently that multiple is going up over the last few years. And that looks to continue even with the cost of living crisis, according to Flipper's latest figures. And so, I'm sure that if you kind of looked at over a longer period of time, there'd be ups and downs, but certainly the market seems to be increasing in regards to number of buyers. It seems to be increasing in regards to the price people are paying for the websites. And I thought that what was interesting was that the content number was going up consistently. SaaS actually has got a higher on average price, but is a flatter line, so it's not growing in the same way. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what impact AI has on the content price, and whether or not that kind of affects that multiple or not. But certainly, it seems to be a growing marketplace at the moment. So, in regards to kind of websites, if we're talking about websites as assets and comparing them to other investments, when does a website kind of become an asset? And in my mind, it's when it's monetized and has a consistent revenue stream. So income from display ads or affiliate revenues. Obviously, if you're getting really good traffic from it, you can kind of add on actual products yourself onto the website, and sell leads from the site as well. And actually, one of the things that affects the multiples, Flipper released a list of areas, like top 10 items that affect a website's multiples. And there's no kind of massive surprises in there. So the number one, the top item, was having a subscriber list. So having a mailing list or a social media list alongside the site. The second most important thing that affected the multiple was having kind of a solid traffic history. So 6 months, 12 months worth of consistent traffic that is hopefully growing, will give you a higher multiple, and low maintenance costs. And this is the key one for me that compares it to kind of other assets, certainly in real estate, is, and it's more of a question really, and I guess, Eleanor, you've got some kind of good experience here, is once you've got kind of a site and it's bringing in great traffic every month, what would you see kind of the maintenance costs on that site over a yearly basis? Because I see them compared to real estate as a lot lower percentage-wise.
I guess it depends how aggressive you are with the growth, because it all comes down to content and links, isn't it? Because that's where the biggest kind of investment goes to. So if you want to scale further and grow it further, then you're gonna have to invest in links and content further. But if you want to just kind of keep it as a passive income for whatever you've got right now, then we're talking just basic hosting and domain name and all that sort of thing. But if you think about it, if you have like a a site that is providing you a good amount of revenue, then would you want to stop growing it? Would you want to just stay still and get whatever it's generating? So there's always going to be an investment, but it's nowhere near. I wouldn't say it's nowhere near the cost of running a property that it consistently requires all different sorts of care and maintenance and that sort of thing. So as a site, probably I guess like it really depends on the quality and the size of the site, how much you're paying certain individuals for either links, digital PR, content. But probably like 1,000, I would say $1,000, $2,000. Again, depends on what kind of growth you're looking to achieve. But again, I would say it's nowhere near as a property management.
Yeah, and I mean, with that 1,000, 2,000, that's to, as you say, kind of maintain it. If you were to be more aggressive with it, that's actually looking to increase the income from the site each month. So yeah, as a kind of percentage of the overall kind of investment and versus the income, we'll come to that in a minute. But the costs, I see them as very, very small on a yearly basis.
Yeah, and the more you invest also, like if you're investing more to grow, if the site grows, it will return that investment relatively, quickly. Because if you get more traffic through investment in more content, then that would lead to more sales and more revenue, right? So you're going up in investment, but your revenue is going up at the same time. So you end up spending not as much as you think because you're making that money back, if that makes sense, because you're increasing your revenue. So yeah, that's the beauty of website investing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, and I know that Adam's covered this on the live stream before, but Eleanor, you were kind of heavily involved in the data project that we did around looking at content sites, and the fact that we kind of undertaken a look at 5,000 different sites, analysed kind of the niche of each one, looked at its monthly traffic numbers, analysed the backlink profile and the DR of the site, and then kind of used those figures to estimate the monthly earnings from kind of an average EPMV figure, and then using that data kind of built out average earnings monthly for different niche sites, and how much content and backlinks you need to hit. And so then we can look at kind of that asset class, so kind of websites as an asset, in compared to other traditional assets. So I think on the next slide, so this is kind of the data that we found. So in order to kind of get a site that on average is receiving between 10 and 25,000 views a month, you need an average DR rating of 29, an average number of pages of 289 pages of content, and that site could earn you $370 a month in display ad revenue if you're hitting a $25 EPMV. At the other end, if you want to average kind of between 500,000 to 1 million viewers a month, then you need a DR rating of 58 and 1,780 pages of content. All these are averages, and that sort of site could earn you $20,000 a month from a income perspective. And there's no other asset that I could see on that traditional assets list earlier in the presentation that would achieve you those sort of monthly incomes at the top end. All of the other ones, so wine, cars, collectibles, they all may grow as value, but they won't give you any kind of passive income at the same time. Obviously, the one exception is real estate, but again, it's going to take you a huge investment to get real estate that earns you 10k a month in rent. Certainly in the UK, you'd be looking at several millions of pounds. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether or not you guys can think of any other alternative investments that kind of think of those sort of passive incomes. I can't.
Not at that size, I wouldn't think so. But I think investing in stocks is kind of another way that people. But ultimately, with stocks, there's like a lot of. You're gonna need a lot of money to like make a decent return. I remember like a few years ago, I was doing like kind of an estimation. and figured out that I needed like £1 million to invest in stocks and shares in order to receive a passive income of a couple of £1,000 that would basically sustain me. But like, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Like, if you're a millionaire and you're looking to put some money in somewhere, then yeah, of course you can dump $1 million and then they'll make you a nice return. But yeah, ultimately I think that there isn't really another one that is that good. I wouldn't think so.
No. I would still recommend people do stocks. I think stocks
Yeah.
is a nice, safe, gradual investment. But it takes a lot longer to get the returns that you would like. And like you say, to get a point where it's a passive income and it can affect your daily life,
Yeah.
you need a huge amount of capital in there invested. And yeah, nowhere near the same amount that you'd need for kind of website investing.
I
Exactly.
think, like you say as well, Dave, it is all about like diversifying. So do stocks, well, maybe not crypto, but it wasn't a bad idea to do crypto at the start because there was some good signs from it. So it is, as long as you're not putting all your eggs in one of those baskets, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. Whereas if you are diversifying it and splitting it across, I might have a couple of content sites. If I've got decent kind of cash flow, I might have content sites, a property, and some stocks. And absolutely that's a good way to kind of do things, because then if one of those goes belly up, then you still got the other kind of the other ways to keep making some money.
Yeah, absolutely. And Simplify Gardening's just said about kind of the appreciation. Absolutely. So all of the other alternative investments, the value of the asset will grow over time, definitely. And that's a kind of a safe bet. And on top of that, from real estate and property, you will get some rental income as well. And so I'm definitely not saying, do websites over real estate. I'm just trying to compare the two. And I think that if you want a higher passive income with lower costs, then website investing is the route. If you want a safer kind of asset that grows over a longer period of time, then real estate's probably the way forward. Absolutely, that asset will appreciate year after year.
And I think also that obviously real estate is kind of crucial to humanity because everyone needs a place to live, but not everybody needs a site, right? So
Absolutely.
you have this asset that you can do quite a lot with it. You can rent it, you can just let it sit, and it will obviously increase in value. So I guess they'll both have like their ups and downs, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's on his fourth website apparently, according to the latest comment. So yeah, awesome. Nice.
Nice.
So this table, it kind of is a follow-on from the previous one. So it follows the same tiers. So that kind of top row there is based on the website that's getting around kind of $300 a month in income. And it's assuming you outsourced absolutely everything to build the site. So you outsourced it to ourselves, for example, and you got us to buy the age domain, you got us to build the site, you got us to write the content and do the keyword research, you got us to kind of on a monthly basis publish more content over the kind of the first year, and that total investment column on the left hand side shows the overall costs of doing that. And then we've estimated kind of the returns that you could see over year 1, year 2, and year 3. And we've been reasonably pessimistic, I feel, and assumed no income at all for the first 18 months of the site. So during that growth phase, even though we're using an age domain, even though you might see kind of monetization a lot sooner, certainly as we have done on our internal company case study site, we've assumed nothing for 18 months. And so even if you assume nothing for 18 months, you're still seeing really good income within 2 and 3 years. And to the point on, pretty much all of those, you'll have if you didn't sell the site, you'll have repaid the initial investment within 4 or 5 years just from sitting on that passive income. And again, comparing it to real estate, I think I worked out it was 31 years earlier for the average UK prices. That's a massive difference. And then on top of that, you've got a much faster growth in the asset value if you're building a site from scratch. And within 3 years, if you achieve those monthly incomes, then you could be selling a site ranging from 20,000 through to $600,000 or more. You wouldn't see that sort of growth within real estate. It would be much more gradual and over a longer period of time. So the return on investments that are kind of potentially out there are much, or really exciting. I think compared to other traditional assets. Obviously, we're not saying that it's a safe bet. And I think on the next slide, I've talked about risks, and this is where it'd be good to get some kind of views from you, Eleanor, and you, Jordan. But looking at the future, Google Updates is a constant kind of bane of niche site owners' life, and certainly over 2022, I think we saw, was it 15 in total, Eleanor, updates?
Oh, around that number, yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. And obviously they're constantly, changing what they're focusing on. But in my opinion, if you're constantly putting high quality content on the site, you're very picky about the backlinks that you build for the site, and you do that in extremely kind of white hat methods. Potentially looking at kind of what video content you can embed on the site, or creating your own, putting some social signals around the site to kind of improve the EAT. I can't see a kind of point in time where Google's going to penalize you for doing any of those activities. You might get hit by a Google update at one point, but if you're doing everything in a natural, organic way, I think that asset, will return over time and constantly grow. And I think that's what you've seen from your sites, Eleanor.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Just quality content, consistency. For me personally, I think consistency is key. Just every single day, publish quality content, stay on top of it, utilize social, utilize video. Really, that's the bread and butter of it. That's literally what it is. Consistency, quality. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's
One of the
one
risks,
risk. Go on.
well, the risk, I guess, is because obviously things that happen in outside in real life, obviously affect sometimes the revenue of adverts. Like if publishers are not willing to spend more money because there's something going on in real life, maybe a pandemic, everyone's scared. Obviously, that will affect kind of what people are willing to pay, and how your revenue is in terms of. But that is even throughout COVID. I don't think it was that dramatic. So it's still a great opportunity, I guess, to monetize during good and bad times. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, even during COVID, I think because everyone was stuck inside and on the internet a lot more, I think it actually kind of drove up
Yeah.
the viewing figures and marketplace.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other kind of risk in the future is around the marketplace itself. So, cost of living could continue to squeeze, and that could affect kind of the multiples that people pay for sites. But as we saw from the figures earlier, currently they're on the rise. And if the site is monetized and it's bringing in a monthly income, then it's always going to have an asset value that you can sell it for, and people are always going to pay in the same way that they do with real estate, a multiple on that income, and so you've got kind of that passive income section there, and you've got the value of the asset as well. So I see that being quite low risk for me.
Yeah, of course, compared to others, I guess it certainly is a lower risk. Ooh.
Yeah, just go back onto the previous slide.
Yeah.
The last one, and this is kind of people talk about kind of the third-party cookie changes that are happening potentially next year. The date keeps getting changed, and one thing that I find fascinating around that is that Google currently make £209 billion from ads, and that includes from ad networks. And so they're so heavily invested in that ad network continuing to work and continuing to flourish that even if third-party cookie changes are put in place, I can't see it having a drastic impact on niche sites and income, because you've got some huge companies there that kind of need that to continue.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a discussion point really around websites and traditional investments, and always happy to talk to anyone on that's listening now, and jump on a call. Would like to kind of debate it with you. I see it as a really good investment versus kind of other alternative investments, and I think that even though there are a lot of sites out there, that the marketplace is continuing to grow, and it's a great place to be.
I think something that you kind of touched on at the start of the presentation as well, Dave, that I think's key for me really is although obviously when you kind of first look in the content space, and I know it's the same for me when I first kind of got into this space, I was looking at, okay, you've got your standard revenue streams of, display ads and affiliate content. But the key thing for me is that if you get a site to a certain size, you can turn it into a brand, and then you've got other revenue streams, and things like lead generation. Yeah, great, but you could have an e-commerce store, and like we saw from the kind of earlier graphs, e-commerce stores are on the rise as well. So obviously that's a whole different ball game in terms of what you have to do, but there's no reason why you couldn't do it if you've got a strong brand, you're getting traffic to the site. And so I think if you think things like property, most people get into property thinking long term, and obviously with a website you've got that initial short term kind of plan. If you do think long term, there is loads of different kind of ways that you can monetize that are kind of, I guess, less traditional is the word I'm looking for. But that's what I like about it personally in terms of the investment space.
Yeah, absolutely. And the brandability is really exciting, because once you've got a brand, you're right, you can do anything with that, and especially if you've got kind of a strong following with that brand as well, with kind of social channels, it becomes kind of a multiple revenue stream.
Definitely.
There's a couple of people that I was following in the space of one of my sites, that they managed to get such a nice brand based on their site that they ended up publishing books and things like that, and people buying them based on the brand. So if their brand was actually a searchable, obviously it had search volume, people are actually searching for their brand, finding them through their brand, and then they publish books. And their site is in decline actually, but they're still full-time, they're still thriving because of the brand they've created and the following they have. So even though their SEO efforts aren't particularly great, their traffic is in decline, they have managed to push that brand out there, and have managed to utilize that and create other revenue streams using that. So definitely worth considering and building.
Yeah, definitely. Mario's just made a good point on the comments. So he talked about kind of cars, watches, and art is kind of more like a collector items. And for him, owning a website is more like owning a business. I think that's true for some people. Some people kind of see it as a business that they want to be heavily involved in. There are other people, and we cater for both ends of the market really, that see it as an investment, and they want to be very hands off, and they just want to kind of have it as an asset that grows for them, and that's why kind of they outsource all of the activities rather than getting involved in it themselves. But that asset could turn into a business, like you said, Jordan. Once it becomes a brand, and you could have a team of people working on that site. And so, yeah, I think Mario's right. It is more like a business, but certainly it can be viewed as an asset as well.
Agreed. For me, at least, it's definitely a business. So it's still an investment, though. It's a business and an investment, because to grow it, I'm going to have to invest money. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And I think any investment where you're investing time as well, you can consider that an investment, because as long as the time results in money, if you're just putting time in and nothing's happening, then obviously I wouldn't call that an investment. But if you're putting time into growing the site, building a brand, and thinking again long term, then absolutely, whatever kind of time or money you're putting in is some form of investment.
Yeah. Well, that time one's interesting because obviously, you could put up certainly in sites, you could put a lot of time in and get nothing back for 6 months, a year, even longer. But it's still worth it in the long run in regards to, as long as you're doing that consistent quality, you can still see those returns. So it's knowing when, you know, how much time you're putting in up front versus the long-term rewards, I guess.
I agree with what Mario is saying, though, index funds. In fact, I was looking at index funds when I was doing that calculation of £1 million is going to give me a passive income. It was investing in index funds, and that was what was going to generate me that passive income. So definitely, I mean, there's multiple different ways you can do. And in fact, I definitely recommend not putting all your eggs in one basket. Definitely utilize everything.
100%.
I utilize websites, crypto, NFTs. And I still invest in index funds and stuff. So definitely, I mean, it's worth doing it. It's just not great to just put everything in one basket. It's just
Definitely not, especially if it's crypto. And I haven't explored NFTs in investment because I still don't get them. You own a bit of code, but I guess people are making money from it, so it's definitely an alternative investment again.
not right now. I wouldn't say they're making money.
But you're right. Certainly, some have lost a lot of money as well.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh
no.
It goes hand in hand with crypto, unfortunately. So if the crypto market goes down, NFTs go down because
Okay.
the transaction often occur through cryptocurrencies. So you need cryptocurrency often to get NFTs, but ultimately loads of celebrities and loads of big names got into them. Essentially it's art, buying it into physical form. And instead of buying it in its physical form, you're buying it digital. So you're owning digital property, digital art that can later on be utilized in the metaverse and all different cool stuff. I still believe in NFTs, but it's just a very long term, still growing kind of thing,
A long-term investment. Yeah, I like it. Um, Definitely see sites making brands. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Mario. And I agree with simplified gardening as well. He said
Yeah.
diversifying is key. And yeah, that's definitely the case. And I think if you've got real estate, if you've got stocks or index fund investments, then websites is a great one to add to your bow.
Absolutely. If you think about it, like, you wouldn't get a couple of sites in the same niche, right? Ideally, you wanna get different sites in different niches so you can kind of expand. And because obviously it's the same, like, you wouldn't just invest in sites or just property, you invest here and there and there. So yeah.
Cool. All right. I think you've got a couple of age domains as well to show us that people
We
could
do.
start their investments on.
We do. Guys, if you have any questions in the chat, please ask them. I'm going to do the H domain teardowns now. And after I finish, we can come back and answer further questions if you have any at all, any recommendations, any thoughts, any other alternative investments you're into, maybe gold, maybe space, maybe other stuff. So yeah, diamonds, just saying. So I'm going to begin with the first expired domain, which both of them are available in our inventory. So if you go to nichefactory.builders, click on H domain inventory. All of them that I'm going to show you today are available, and others as well that you may like. So the first one is Mary's Bites, field niche, 14 years old, DR14, 82 referring domains. So it's pretty good. I like the food niche because even though it's super competitive, there are so many competitors and so many sites that are absolutely thriving considering their low authority and sometimes even the age. So if they can thrive with their low authority and when they're so young, then there's definitely room and opportunities for us to grow and thrive as well. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get cracking. Okay. So Mary's Bites was an extremely simple site. It was a site owned by a lady called Mary. Surprise, surprise. And she basically shared all her recipes. So there was nothing else going on except recipes. And you can see that these are definitely home taken pictures of her food. This and this and this, just literally just recipes. She loves cooking and she shared recipes. Literally, that's it. So you can safely say that this sharing passion of cooking. So you can safely say that the site definitely falls into the food niche, and it falls into general food niche. So we can explore all different avenues and all different areas of the food niche. The backlinks are extremely good, actually, considering the domain only has a DR of 20, actually. Oh, nice. And we have loads of different Pinterest, which obviously tells us that she has published on Pinterest, and it would be foolish not to. You're in the food niche, very visual, very delicious. So definitely utilize Pinterest if you are a food niche. And not only you get more exposure, it's a different algorithm, but you get backlinks as well. And these are do follow, which is great. So she's got some from Denmark, France, Australia, Spain, Japan, Philippines, and so on. We have a backlink from yumly.com, excellent backlink, is relevant. We have Skinny Taste, a spicy perspective. We have Tasty Kitchen, Steamy Kitchen, and a few more down the line as well. Of course, classic scrapers as well. But ultimately, I'm extremely happy with this backlink profile. It has high quality and, most importantly, niche relevant backlinks. The anchor text profile, again, extremely clean because we have branded all the way here, really, and then again here. It doesn't really get any better than that. Obviously, Mary was the lady behind the blog, and she obviously dedicated the name of the domain partially to her name. So there's like this big EAT established already with this name. So it would be foolish of us not to utilize that. So what we're going to do is when we build this site, we're going to create a persona named Mary. Obviously, we're not going to have any identity theft or anything. We're not going to explain exactly what this person is about. We're not going to take their surname. We're not going to take where they live. We're not going to take anything except the name. Because think about it, like the chances of someone else, another Mary obtaining this site and wanting to make it their own are quite high. There's many Marys in the world. So we're going to keep that EAT of Mary, and this is going to help us further, further quickly developing the site. The best pages by incoming links is, again, clean. And the reason why I'm saying clean is because the majority of the backlinks are pointed towards the homepage, which is exactly what we tend to look for. Normally, when we look for expired domains, we don't want to see any link schemes that have taken place. If there is a link scheme that may have taken place, then we probably wouldn't have seen the homepage being at the top. We probably would have seen like an internal page that was intentionally wanting to rank. Naturally, people link to the homepage and just, call it a day. So this is exactly what we're seeing here. There are a few pages that would need recreating. Like we have ranchero sauce. So it's like recipes. We have chili rellenos with ranchero sauce, oven fried pickles with low fat. Okay, so we have a few things here to recreate, but nothing too much. So just a couple of recipes, and as I said, like the main falls into the food side, the food niche. So we're gonna cover loads of recipes anyway. So might as well recreate these and redirect them. The strategy is very similar to every food niche, really, that we work with. There is obviously areas that you could tackle the food niche at. You don't have to be a chef to own a food site. There's ways of getting around doing that. So no need to cook yourself, cook everything, take pictures, upload them, all that sort of thing. You can definitely have, and there's definitely ways you can do that without doing that and without being a chef. So here's a strategy. We can do loads of food guides. So instead of just being like a recipe site, we can do food guides on this and that. And the beauty of the food niche is because obviously everybody eats, right? Everybody's got questions, different questions, millions of questions that they happen. Is this okay to eat? I have a 5-day cheese. Can I eat it? All these things that happen that people talk about, people ask questions. We all eat, that is why the food niche is so popular and it's so big because there's just loads of interest. It's human nature to eat, right? We need energy, we need to eat. We can do listicle types of recipes. So we can do 10 chicken recipes with potatoes. We can do 10 this, 50 that, everything you can possibly think of. So this would definitely be the main event. It will be the recipe part of the recipe part is going to be the main strategy here. And we can then do listicle types of content around restaurants. Obviously, food, restaurants, why not? It's a food niche. We talk more about food, restaurants, where Mary has been, you know. In X and Y, sort of, for example, would be like 25 best pizza places in New York. We can do 50 of the best Mexican restaurants in New York, etc. The monetization can come from cooking equipment, cooking products, and of course, display adverts. Right. So this is where this is where I really like the food niche, because although it's extremely competitive, it's one of the easiest niches to get into, and it's one of the biggest passion niche to get into. Really, everybody, well, people that are thinking about starting a site often think, well, I like cooking, so I'm going to start a site, about cooking. But ultimately, there are definitely sites that are low DR, relatively new, that are absolutely smashing it in the food space. And this one is feastio.com. They are 19, so actually less authority than us. We are 20, they're 19, generating 75,000 per month. And look at the growth. It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely taken off. Okay, drop down a little bit here. But if you look at old time, it's just the trend is quite nice. Let's take a look at what they're doing. So this domain is interesting because they're focusing on just one thing related to food, which is restaurants. Best restaurants in New Orleans, best barbecue in Austin, sushi in Austin, best bars in Nashville, Dallas restaurants, restaurants in Colombia, restaurants, which is cool because if you think about it, this kind of reassures us that this is a good strategy, because not many food sites actually talk about restaurants. They're interested about the recipe side of things, probably a couple of food guides here and there, but not many sites actually list restaurants to go out and eat, which is related to the food niche. After all, you don't have to cook all the time, right? People are searching for places to eat out, and if this competitor is absolutely doing a fantastic job, just covering really restaurants and barbecues and bars, etc., then that is definitely reassuring us that it's a good thing to do, and it's a good strategy. And they only have 149 posts. Like, come on, like for this growth, for 149 posts, that's pretty impressive, I'd say. The next competitor is higher authority than us, and this is quite interesting because they do focus on a lot of Asian cooking. But Mary's Bites thankfully covered multiple different things, so she was in the general food niche. So definitely we can explore Asian cooking. Why not? Everybody loves Asian cooking. Well, most people. So this one is generating 191,000 per month according to Ahrefs, and they have the same amazing growth. And if you look at it, they launched the site in the 3rd of August of 2020, so during COVID. So this is a not even three-year-old site, and it's killing it, absolutely killing it. And Mary's Bites is much older, so it goes back all the way back, because Ahrefs can only go back to 2015. So if you compare the age here, like definitely we have an edge of that site, and a 3-year-old site is absolutely smashing it. So let's take a look at what they're doing. So they do a lot of Asian cooking. They do Thai vegetables, Beijing beef liu mein, beef udon. Udon is noodles, I believe. So it looks like this. Yeah, it's kind of stir fry with udon noodles. It's just a recipe. So what happens is you and me come here and we do 10 of the best udon stir fry recipes. She's got one recipe. She's doing well. Obviously, she's covering loads of stuff. But people like choice as well. Like if I'm looking for a udon noodle recipe, I wanna see what's around, And ideally, I don't want to click on 5 different posts on page 1 of Google to find what I want. So ideally, if we have listed 10 different ones, using quite different ingredients, then everything in one stop. Instead, here you have one option. You have whatever she's provided you with. So not only we provide more value and keep people on the page, but we also make our posts much longer, provide more value, and earn more from that as well, because people tend to scroll more. Obviously, typical blogger, it's a massive post for a recipe. But if you think about having 10 posts, 10 recipes here, we are actually showing examples and different ways to make this recipe rather than just for one recipe. So people are scrolling, it's visual, and are inspired to do this, maybe this, maybe that, you know. So definitely here, this is where we can definitely improve on. But ultimately, you know, this person was doing loads of Asian recipes, and some of the search volume of these are insane, like 72,000 for Szechuan chicken, absolutely insane. 15,000, 30,000, 5,000 here. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. We have 16, 21,000 for beef yo mein, and she ranks number 8 for this. So a lot we can think about, especially on the Asian part of the cooking. And look, she's got 205 posts. Like, this is insane for a three-year-old domain. Relatively good DR. I'll say bang on in the middle. Great traffic. 205 posts. Great results. Just focused on recipes. I mean, if this doesn't scream success, I don't know what it does. So this is Mary's Bites. Definitely a great site to get into if you're looking to get into the general food niche. Loads of opportunities, loads of avenues you can explore, and great competitors that we can get inspired by as well. So this is the first one. Now I'm going to start with the second expired domain, and this one is called.
Just on that one, Eleanor, Mario just asked a question about food blogs.
Okay.
Around using images and listicles.
I found that people with food blogs and DIY stuff are very sensitive on using their images, even in listicles. Okay, so
I don't think we've found that, have we?
So we don't really use the images. What we tend to do is typically embed Pinterest. So
Yes.
with Pinterest, it's even Instagram as well. It's public, and we're not screenshotting just the image and posting it. What happens is we embed their Pinterest image, and it will give the results and the name of whoever the person is of their account, and we also link on the recipe that is mentioned above to the person's site. So we're not just screenshotting that bit and posting it. That would be violate copyright issues and obviously acceptable.
Absolutely.
So it's totally
Cool.
acceptable to embed embed Pinterest and even Instagram pictures.
Right.
Okay.
And Jonathan's asked a question about the investment side, but I'll come back to that question afterwards, Jonathan. After the
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me just finish this one. We can definitely come back on that.
Yeah.
Hot Pink Lotus, year 18, 11 years old, spiritual. I really, really like when we have a spiritual niche domain, because the spiritual niche is absolutely insane. It's one of those niches that, first of all, it has some insane search volumes and some wonderful opportunities. So, yeah, let's take a look then. I'll share my screen again. Okay, Hot Pink Lotus looks like this. I'll just give it a second to load when I open the other tabs. Hot Pink Lotus, Gifts of Higher Consciousness for Body, Mind, and Spirit, was owned by a lady called Lois, and this was actually her business. As you can see here, consultations, readings, books. You can book things. Sorry, this is book. You can book things. Her article, newsletter about Lois, articles, classes online. So she did reading, she did classes, she did one-to-one sessions, and she also posted articles related to spirituality, etc. So definitely in the spiritual niche, and the spiritual niche is amazing. So, as I said, it's TR 18, and we do have some good backlinks, but for me, the best kind of perk of this expired domain is the fact that it's aged. It's in a fantastic niche, the spirituality niche, and I'm gonna show you some amazing competitors that are absolutely killing it in the space. But we have good reads, and then we have a few here that I really liked: Unexplained Mysteries and To-Do Secrets. So for me, these are the 3 best backlinks here. But for me, as I said, like, this one has particularly other benefits. Anchor Text profile is great, branded at the top. Branded. Lois Wetzel is the name behind the blog, the person that used to run the blog. Chakras, soul, 8, something related to the niche, totally fine. Again, other things related to the niche. So very clean, really, nothing negative to say about the Anchor Text profile. First page is by incoming links. Again, you're seeing the homepage is the winner, getting the most juice, which is wonderful. We have a JPEG here. We wouldn't be able to recreate this even if we wanted, because it's an image. We can't recreate an image. Praying mantis shamanic symbolism. This would be something we'll probably recreate. Let's take a look at the quality of the backlinks. Because if they're not the best quality, would you want to recreate it? And as you can see here, TR2 and DR0, probably not. But obviously, it's related to the niche. It's related to what we're going to say anyway. So might as well, depending. Past life reading class, probably not. We're not going to be doing classes. We're not, unless we do something like locations of where you can get a reading and things like that. But ultimately, everything is in the homepage, really. The best juice is in the homepage, so that's fine. So what's the strategy? So if you don't know, the spiritual niche is actually a massive niche. It's getting more competitive, obviously, as people have sniffed out opportunities. But it's like the food niche. There are so many different areas you could tackle it. And in fact, you can just make a site based on one area of the niche. For example, dreams, or tarot reading, or universal laws, or angel numbers. But I think we can definitely we can explore like all different aspects of the spiritual niche. So here's kind of all I have in mind. Information articles on spirituality. This can be many things. Universal law, angel numbers is where it's at, really, because the search volume of angel numbers is absolutely incredible. And I'll show you. I'll show you on the keyword research. Just see the volume of angel numbers. It's absolutely incredible for angel numbers. And as you can see, the trend here, according to Ahrefs, is absolutely growing. So people are looking at angel numbers a lot more. The search volume is insane. So definitely angel numbers, because that's really where it's at. Information articles on psychic readings, tarot card meanings is massive. So if you do tarot cards and you get a card out and you don't know what the meaning is of that card, you Google it, and that some sites have actually created a whole site just based on that. What those cards mean when you get them. Sorry, I'm not spiritual, so I really can't explain more professionally. Informational articles on numerology, that is also very big. Close it. I shouldn't have. And numerology is also very big. Yeah, that is massive in itself as well. And that is why I was telling you that you can just kind of dedicate one site to one thing, one part of the spiritual world. Meaning of dreams and crystals. Again, crystals in itself can be on its own, in its own site with 500,000 search volume. As you can see, it's kind of grown here and then it's kind of dipped, but it's growing. People are buying crystals all the time. Monetization can be fantastic because I don't know, but I'm not spiritual again, so it's hard for me to give an example. I've seen people that are more spiritual. They like dedicate a room where they kind of make it very spiritual, if that makes sense. They buy candles and sage leaves and obviously crystals, and they kind of decorate their room that they dedicate to do their spiritual things. Again, sorry, I'm really not professional explaining this, but this is good for us though, because that means people buy things online, right? So crystals, candles, sage leaves, all these things cost money, which is great. Tarot cards as well. So this is kind of the strategy. We can obviously focus on one thing and then expand to another. We're not going to just jump on and do everything. But angel numbers in numerology are basically where the high search volume is. So definitely look at doing those as a first point. So coming Cosmos, they are 12, less authority than us, where they are 18. This is what I was telling you about the spiritual niche. Like a site of that size, they are 12, generating 157,000. It's just insane, right? It's unseen. And if you open it, it has 348 posts, which is, I'll say, decent, not a lot, for that amount. And surprise, they're doing angel numbers. 555 meaning is an angel number. It has nearly 250,000 search volume, and that's why I've told you that's where it's at, really, because it has an extremely high search volume. So we have 333. Page of swords, yes or no. So this is what I was telling you about when you turn a card, and card. Basically, I was telling you the meaning of the card, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's a card. So if you turn it, it kind of tells you what it means. So yeah, this is a thing as well. But you can tell that they're getting the most traffic from the angel numbers because they have so much search volume. Sorry, my screen is frozen.
I've just been looking them up while you've been talking, and they're fascinating. I didn't know it was such a big area.
It's insane.
It's huge.
It's absolutely insane. It is insane, yeah. And that is why I think personally, like, I think spiritual niche is one of the top ones out there in terms of opportunities and volume. Then we have, what else have we got? 444 angel meaning for love. See, just insane. We have other cards, and a mix of angel numbers. So that's great, really. The second competitor is this one, DR21, and it's not generating as incredible amount. And I'll tell you why, because these guys are not focusing on angel numbers as much. And it's quite obvious here. They focus on cards only. Well, they do a bit of, I think they've done a little bit of angel numbers. That's why I told you that angel numbers is where it's at, because compare this one. So this one is high authority, generating a lot less. Why? Because if you go back to this guy, DR12, but they rank for angel numbers, which has insane search volume. They rank position number 8 for 555 meaning, and they get 10,000 from this specific post. These guys, on the other hand, have got less posts, obviously, and that's fair enough. But they do like loads of tarot reading cards, like meanings, which is search volume is nowhere near as good. So if you click on King of Wands, Love, it's it's a tarot card meaning. So King of Wands, what does that mean, basically? So this kind of distinguish where the money's at, really. But ultimately, as you grow the site, you can definitely explore all sorts of different spiritual parts and spiritual queries and spiritual questions. So for me, this Coming Cosmos site is the best one out of the bunch. They're less authority than us, which means we can tomb raid them, and we can get some incredible traffic opportunities. So yeah, definitely consider the spiritualist because I think it's great. And kind of that summarizes my HTML teardown. You said there was a question there on the chat, Dave.
Yeah, awesome domains. There was a question from Jonathan Royce. Hey, Jonathan, hope you are well. Around AI chatbots and how we think it's going to impact on niche sites in the future. So for me, like, I think OpenAI is great, and I've used it. I've experimented with it. The answers are very similar that you get back, and certainly if you ask it to create articles, the articles have a similar structure. So that's one issue. Another issue is that people want to be given information from people, and currently there's a massive trust issue around AI and getting information from computers, and I don't think that will change, certainly in the near future. I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think that's always going to be a massive blocker.
We were having a discussion a couple of weeks back. I can't remember if it was with you, Dave, but someone internally having a discussion, and we were saying that when you look at these AI systems, it's all about when they kind of last looked at the content that's already out there. And so if it's built to look at it from 2 months ago, then you've only got content. It's only going to be able to write up until things that happened up till 2 months ago, and anything future, it's not going to be able to write about. And so where's the kind of limit of what it's doing? Like, what, if it doesn't constantly look for new stuff, then it's going to just be talking about the same stuff. And so you get that repetition that you're kind of mentioning. And then also I don't know, I think this was something Adam said a few weeks back. He said if everything overnight became AI on the internet, then there's nothing new going into it, and so it will talk about the same things over and over and over with no new input from humans. And so and yeah, just coming onto that, to be fair, so obviously in the long future, I think AI is going to be smart enough to actually come up with its own concept of something, but as it stands at the minute, it's definitely not smart enough to literally have independent thought, because if it did, we'd probably have one of the classic movie situations, I imagine, of human robots.
I mean, it's fascinating because obviously, ChatGPT is a massive improvement, but it still has drastic limitations. And certainly, if you do chat to it, and I am sad enough to have tried, you can tell that you're talking to an AI. You can, it doesn't come across as a human. Um, and even if it was connected to the internet, it's still got that machine learning to do and understanding context of the question, context of the answers, and the text that it's scanning. Um, my personal opinion is we're still quite a way off getting to the point where you can talk to it and people can trust it to give the right answer the first time, which is where they are with Google. People trust the results they get from Google, and that's been built up over many, many years. I can't see that happening with AI, certainly within the next 5, 10 years. I'm probably one of the oldest on this chat, and certainly I can't see myself asking AI questions and trusting the answer. And so it's a whole kind of generation of people to go through before I think that would become reality. It's an interesting journey to watch, but I can't see niche sites and human answers going away anytime soon.
No, I agree, and I agree in that. Like personally, I wouldn't ask ChatGPT for answers on certain things. Like I'll still ask Google. And I think I watched a video the other day, someone like doing examples between ChatGPT and Google, and a lot of the times, it's all about personal touch and feeling connected to the person and someone's experience. Because I think it was related to someone was asking ChatGPT a question on, can you tell me what is the best blender or something like that? And ChatGPT said something like, oh, it really depends on this. And then people want to see someone kind of actually saying, someone that's actually used, obviously us as SEOs, we don't really use things, we just recommend them. But then there is pictures, there is personal touch. Some people go all the way to make video. Like if I say, what's the best, I don't know, oatmeal recipe, it will give you the recipe, but there's no picture. There's no kind of feeling of, oh, this is what the person did and it looks good, or there's like other suggestions there. And just more, we're humans, like we want to feel connected. We want to experience that personal touch, is where my opinion is at. And I totally agree that obviously AI will get better. In fact, I'm sure it will get more human. So you can, if you are watching a video of and an AI is showing you how to do something with a piano, I'm sure it won't be like a robot just doing something. It will be more human. So you can be like, oh, I like this, and it will have its own personality. It's cute, it's sweet, and you probably follow the robot on YouTube and watch their videos, right? But for now, it's still about the human experience. If I wanna see a recipe on YouTube, I like seeing someone cooking it, and it's like I'm there, and it's like I'm experiencing that with them and learning with them as a person. So it's still a years away, in my opinion, but it's definitely
Yeah.
something to keep an eye out for.
Definitely, and even with the robot and the music thing, like although I might watch it for a curiosity point of view, um, it's not going to have the same connection as you get from watching a person learn or make mistakes or kind of have emotion from the music. So I just can't see one replacing the other personally, and
Hmm.
I think it would be a very sad day when it does.
I agree. And obviously humans add humor and they laugh, and obviously AI will get better. Maybe AI will add humor and laugh. But again, it's a bit weird.
It is, yeah. Deepak's asked a question in regards to content websites versus real estate. So we covered this earlier in the stream, and I think it depends on what you're after. If you're after a really kind of safe asset that will grow over a long period of time, and give you some income during that time, but probably have quite a lot of maintenance costs, then real estate is definitely the way to go. If you are looking for a faster return, with kind of higher potential returns on the investment, then I'd say content websites would be my assessment.
Jonathan is saying, yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. There's definitely like questions you just need a yes or no answer or something quick. Definitely, I'm not saying don't use ChatGPT. I'm sure it has so many other benefits. And yeah, I mean, what do you guys want to add to that?
I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it might be based on that kind of comment, and I think Jonathan might be right. In the future, if you do get people trusting AI and wanting to use it for quick answers, you might have to adjust your keyword research to target questions that people wouldn't want to get from AI. But we're nowhere near that yet, and I think that's going to be a few years in the future, personally.
I think as well, I've seen some interesting examples of people using ChatGPT and other AI tools to kind of give them ideas of content and kind of kickstart things. And so I think, yeah, like I think there's definitely benefit of it in that sense. But in terms of, like we say, writing out a full article, it can't do that. And in terms of answering a full question with context, it can't do that yet. And so those two things, if you want to use it to write your article, you're better off still writing it yourself. And if people want to ask it a question that needs context, again, you're better off asking Google and getting a human response at the moment. Like I'm on the same, and I know I'm a different generation to you, Dave. I'm on the same vein as you, that at this stage, I just can't see it being the future. Whether it will happen in my lifetime, who knows? But, in the next 10 years, I don't really think it's quite there.
And on Jonathan's latest point around someone who's starting out on the blogging path, so if you think about how long it took for Google to kind of establish itself as kind of almost like a verb within our language, i.e., I'm off to Google, that took many, many, many years for Google to become that kind of single source of trust that people would Google, answers to arguments and debates that would happen, and it's going to take at least that amount of time, if not a lot longer, because AI is not at the point where we can trust it yet. And so, everyone's got their own estimation, but I think it's going to be at least 10 years. And the reason that we're all aware and we're all talking about it is because we're in this space. If you kind of did a survey in a kind of standard high street and said, have you used ChatGPT? The large majority, and I'm talking like 95% of people, would say, what the hell are you talking about? It's only because we're in the space and we're aware of the SEO world, and people are putting loads of videos around creating content, that it's a much bigger issue than actually it is in the mainstream world.
Agreed. And Jonathan, yes, I think it was WP Eagle that I saw that video. And now that you mentioned it, definitely him. And Elma Marketing, well done, because
awesome.
you are in for a treat.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Guys, anything else you want to add?
I think it's covered everything. I think it's been a good discussion, and as I say, if anyone's got any more questions after the stream, feel free to send across an email.
Fabulous. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. We ended up diving into the never-ending discussion of ChatGPT and AI as usual. But ultimately, this is an exciting subject, so it's hard to avoid it. But for next week, I believe next Thursday, we have Jake and Jack back on the stream, talking all things digital PR, which is a very hot subject right now. So make sure you tune in. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jordan. As I say, Jonathan. How many J's, man? Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Dave. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you are watching later, please like and subscribe. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you.